So what's the single biggest difference between great communicators and the average ones and the bad ones? It's not being better looking or a stronger voice or more commanding eye contact or gestures. It's not being smarter or better educated. It really comes down to one thing. Great communicators consistently illustrate every message point with a story. Bad communicators just say, oh, there's no time for stories. I got all this data to go through. I got all these messages, all these facts to overwhelm people with. And they end up doing a data dump. Let's face it, at some point in your life, you've probably had a Monday morning staff meeting and you're just afraid to ask that one person what's happened in the last week because they'll just start talking for 15 minutes, fact after fact after fact. It's overwhelming and it's disconnected. Fundamentally, human beings process information through stories. We are hardwired through this for really grabbing onto stories and visualizing them. What is a story? It's just you retelling a conversation you had with one person in a particular place about a real problem, how you felt, and how it was resolved. It's not that difficult. Everybody tells stories in certain circumstances. If you're with your best friend and you're almost in a car crash on the way to the meeting, you're going to tell that story to your friend. And it's going to be easy because you're just going to relive it in your own brain. So we all tell stories all the time. The issue is if you're communicating something and it seems more formal, it's business or it's professional or it's corporate, then we tell ourselves that, oh, I can't tell stories now, I have to be serious. Wrong. Great communicators consistently use stories, whether they're telling something to one friend about what restaurant they want to go to, or they're trying to convince an entire country to elect them. They use stories to make their ideas memorable. It is the single biggest difference. So I have a huge section in this course on stories. So all your questions will be answered, and there are examples, and I give tons and tons and tons of my own stories on key communication points to help you remember. So take a look at that. For right now, I want you to think about, you know, what you're trying to get your audience to do. You've isolated your top 3 messages. Now I want you to pick just one story that makes one of your messages more understandable. So think about a time when you've had a real conversation with a real person that relates to one of the messages you're trying to convey. And if you've never had a single conversation with a single person about that message, maybe it's not that important or interesting to begin with. So that's your homework. You don't have to record anything or write it down. Just in your own mind, be thinking about the story you want to tell to make that message come alive.